Sorry. So you'll find that you're probably a lot of people, you would have heard of New Year's resolutions before, made after often when you're hungover the next day. I'll give that a go this year. I'll quit smoking. I'll do whatever it is, and they typically throw something out into the universe.
I won't drink again.
I'll join the gym. I'll do whatever it is, and then 2 weeks later, it's actually statistically, it's something like 8% of people actually follow through on what they said they were going to do come New Year's Day. So it's a very small percentage of people that actually works for. So that's what you would say is a very flawed goal setting project. So we're going to teach you how we do stuff and how we like to do it. We like to set out all our goals in the back end of the year so that next year is purposeful. And so the key to that is we call it, it's a bit of a reflect and then redirect. That's what we're going to do. So we reflect on our goals from this year and how many of them did we achieve? How many did we fail? Why did we fail them? How did we achieve them? How did we feel? We go through a very analytical thing of this year. So over the next couple of weeks before New Year's Eve, Sheridan and I will be sitting down and we'll dissect the business, we'll dissect our relationship, we'll dissect ourselves, our goals and everything like that.
And we give it time. Like we don't just sit down to write goals and go, cool, we've got 15 minutes, go for it. We get a new book each year for our goals to write in. Plus we also do our pulse checks each week, which we look over all of our goals and stuff each week, check in with our relationship, all of that kind of stuff. But we actually literally take the next 2 weeks to start jotting down goals so that we can actually give them the time of day, because to plan a year in 15 minutes, maybe not the best direction. Whereas we literally give it 2 weeks of pondering and writing it down, discussing, actually, I'd really like to add that to mine. Ours are very different. They don't have to be the same, but we also have some that is very much the same too. And we also then set intentions for our relationship, for how we want that to go as well, and what we want our relationship to do for the world as well, not just for I want to like say I love you every day. Like it's more than that. We want our mission for our relationship is to create a love so powerful that other people it forces other people to see that there's more and not settle, and inspire people to find a relationship that's amazing.
And we may not do that for you, but that's okay. We're not aiming to do it for everyone.
No.
And so what it comes down to anyway, the first part of the goal setting, and this is a pretty ruthless kind of way to start it off, because we haven't set any goals yet. We're in the end of the year. What we're going to do though is I'm going to get you guys, you're going to need 4 things pretty much. The first one. No. This is just for you to jot notes down. So you're going to need a mirror. You would need a computer, your laptop, or your phone. Either of those is fine. A picture of your family, and then a picture of where you work. And if you don't work, that's okay. You just put a picture of your house because you don't work. So it's fine. And then what you do is you have a snapshot. And we call this a pulse check or a snapshot of where you are right now in relation to the year that's been. So the easiest way to do this is, it's very confronting, but you would put the mirror on the side. You would get down to next to nothing, if not nothing. You'd sit on a chair and you look at yourself in a mirror and you go, how is my health right now? Is what I'm looking at right now, am I happy with what I see? So you reflect on your health, your physical health, in the mirror, nude or next to nude pretty much. It's confronting because it's generally not what we want to see, but you just rate it out of 10. Easiest way to do it is just 1 to 10. 1 meaning extremely unhappy, 10 meaning put me on the cover of some magazine. I'm ready, baby. Let's go. That's the kind of spectrum you want to have. So it's a big, massive spectrum, and you can put it anywhere in between. Number 2 is the computer, laptop, or phone, and that is your bank account. So what you do with that one there is you obviously open it up. You look at your bank accounts. You look at the money that you have. You look at the money that you owe. You look at the money, and you work it out. It's pretty simple. You work out all the money you have, and you work out all the money you owe, and you subtract the 2. And it leaves you with a negative, or it leaves you with a positive. And then you rate that. Are you happy with where that sits right now? 1 to 10. 1 meaning, don't want to share that with anyone. 10 meaning, heck yeah, baby, I'm on my way. Financially free. Let's get this going. And everyone's in different situations, but this is a snapshot for you to reflect. on how the year went. Did you just spend all your money this year, or did you invest it and take the opportunity for the opportunities that were around this year, because the economy was so bipolar, it was up and down. But if you saw it for an opportunity, you may have made a lot of money through this time too.
Commonwealth Bank shares were at an all-time low.
Yeah.
So there was an opportunity there to invest in shares.
That's typically not there at that point. So again, if you don't know much about shares and stuff, that's irrelevant, but it's, did you take the opportunity? So we're going to snapshot the bank account. Again, what do you owe versus what you have? Because you might have lots of money in the bank, but you might owe lots of people money. So theoretically, you don't actually have the money. You actually owe the people the money. You might have to pay them back. Next one is your picture of your family. Same thing. Your picture of your family, you give them a rating out of 10, not how much you like them. The rating is your relationship with them. Is it engaging? Is it loving? Is it present? Is it...
Cut that one.
Yeah. Don't like him, love him. She's the pain.
middle kid's out.
Yeah. But it's your relationship with them. Is it engaging? Is it Is it like when you get home from work, or when you're out with them, are you present, or are you thinking about everything else? Do you believe that your role in the family is where it should be?
Yeah.
And you rate yourself 1 to 10. 10 meaning all-star.
And this is for your standards. This is how you want to be. So if you want to be a hands-on dad and you want to be there for everything, rate yourself for those standards. Or is providing for your family really important? Are you making that happy? So it all comes down to your standards. I'm just curious, do I get to stay in your family snapshot?
Yeah, you got to make dinner. So you made the cut.
Thanks. Okay, good to know.
And then the last one is your career. Now, you may have a career or you may not have a career. It's fine. Either is okay. But you're going to analyze that. And do you want a career if you don't have one? Do you want one? All that sort of stuff. So you can reflect on that. Are you happy in your career? Because a lot of people have a job. And then what that generally stands for is that the acronym stands for just over broke, meaning that you're not really happy with what you do. You're just collecting a paycheck, otherwise known as a prostitute. So you're working for money because you don't love what you do. So that's the other thing too. You can have a job, you can have a career, but do you really love it? Do you get up pumped every day that you get to do it? That's a good question to ask.
Are you making an impact to the world in the way that you want to make an impact?
Yeah, that you want to make it, not the way the business makes it. Are you doing your role and what you want to achieve in the world? And again, it's everyone's different. How Sheridan and I do our goal setting, our vision for what we do with our business and our career and our passion, our drive, it's different for you because your industry may be different, or your passion towards something may be different. So don't ever compare, just look at your life from a snapshot point of view. So what you do is you reflect right now with that simple thing. 4 things. You've got, again, the mirror for your health. Are you happy with what you see? You've got your wealth, you've got your family, and then you've got your work.
Just before you go off from that as well, if you don't currently have a career or a job, use that time to see, do you want one? What would you like to do? And how would you like that to look as well? So that can be a planning opportunity for you too.
Absolutely, 100%. And so then what you do then is you reflect on it. You've got a snapshot of where the year ended, but now you have a snapshot of where the year begins next year. So then you can do things to improve those areas of your life that may need to be improved or tweaked. And quite often you find it's not everything has to change. It's generally like, oh, that area of my life's actually pretty low right now. I can direct some energy there. Maybe that's a good place to make sure that by the end of next year, my relationship with my family is better than it is this year. That's all you're aiming to do, is always be a little bit better than the year before. It's like being in the gym. We only ever want you to do 1 rep more, or 1 meter, 1 push-up, something more than you did last time, because that's improvement, and you compound improvement over time and it swings in your favor. That's what we're looking to do. Okay. So you just want to aim to be a little bit better next year. So it all begins with values. And this is the key to it all, is your values that you have, your personal values. So my values are different to Sheridan's values, although some of them sort of line up along the same way. They're how I perceive myself as a person. You want to share a bit about values?
No.
Okay, good. Well, great input there, Sheridan. And the goal is, though, that the reason you have values is because, would you want to share your values? Let's start with that.
My I am words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Number 1, healthy, fit, and strong. Number 2 is kind. Number 3 is classy, wealthy, and fun.
Easy. See, so how she did those is just anchored them to a finger. You would have noticed that fun was kind, was a big finger, because they're contradictory, but that's how she remembers them, and those are things.
Yeah.
So the reason these values are so important, and so Sheridan then has these things that she lives by. So if I was to wrap this up really simply, it means that when it comes time for her to make a decision,
Mhm.
if a decision doesn't line up with these 5 things congruently, all of
Yeah.
them at the same time, the decision's been made.
Mm.
It's a no.
So it's perfect. Like, for example, Tanya brought in some beautiful Wheat Bix chocolate slice for us tonight. I had 2 pieces and I went to have the third, and I used my measurement tool. Does this line up with my healthy, fit, and strong value? And having a third piece, no. So I put the third piece down and didn't have it. Go me.
Ooh, discipline.
And so it's a great measurement tool that you've got at all times to really remind you of who's the person that you want to be and how do you want to live your life. So a great way to see if you are actually living these 5 values, and we also call them I am words, is if I was to take your photograph to your local petrol station, so somewhere that would recognize your face, probably don't really, maybe not know your first name, but would know who you are by me showing your picture. And I was to show that to them and say, if you could describe this person in 5 words, how would you describe them? So if someone then, if my picture was showed and they had said fun, kind, healthy, fit and strong, wealthy and classy, then I would be like, done, I'm living my values, amazing. Because, it's not just how you think you live them. You've actually got to do it so that other people can see it too. So you can't be an asshole like 90% of the time and then do one kind thing and think, oh, I'm kind, I'm done. Yeah, tick that bad boy.
Yeah. And the other thing is, because deep in your soul, when you do things that aren't right for yourself, and you say for Sheridan, if it's a healthy, fit and strong value, she has a rule around that value. It's not just the same as what you think it is. It's her own view, because her one is different to mine when we use that healthy, fit and strong value. But for her decisions that she makes based around that are what she knows that if she does compromise it, congruently, she's not congruent with who she is in her soul. Now, this is why if you haven't taken the time to do your values, and you know when you're doing something wrong, it's because it doesn't line up with your value. That's why it hurts, because you know you're not being true to who you are, or you're trying to please someone because that pleases their value of honesty, or whatever it is for you, or integrity, or whatever your words are that are for you. And when someone compromises them for you, and you bend over to do it for them, to please them, and it doesn't sit well with you, it's why you get angry, it's why you get bitter, it's why you get frustrated, because it's not who you are inside, but instead it's who they are, and you're living their values, which is why it's so important to figure out your own values.
And even if you and someone, like, say for example, Matt and I have both got healthy, fit and strong as one of our values. We group that as one. But my definition of healthy, fit and strong is very different to Matt's definition of healthy, fit and strong. So just because it's a word used doesn't mean it's interpreted the same for another person, because you're the only one that has to have that definition for it. For example, for me, classy is one of mine, and that means that, you know, you'd never see me at the supermarket in Ugg boots and tracky dacks. Like, it's just not my thing. That's why it's really important to me to always have white teeth and stuff like that. So there's rules to me around it that you might not even add into that. It doesn't mean I always have to be dressed to the nines, but there's a classy element to how I do things. Like, things would be matched. I always wear paired socks. I wear my underwear matching and all that kind of stuff. So there's rules that I have for that you guys can work out whatever works for you.
And again, if she did go outside in her Ugg boots and her track pants, and she was out there in the public's eye, inside her she's burning.
Yeah.
Because she knows she's being unclassy. The opposite of classy for her might be lazy, sluggish, selfish, whatever those words are. And she's leaning this way, which means that she's not living her values, which make her happy at the end of the day. If you could live your values and at the end of each day lie in bed and tick each one off that you've achieved them, you're happy.
Yeah.
That's happiness. Your values equal your happiness.
That is fulfillment.
And that's why you get fulfillment out of it. So if you compromise 3 of them in the day, you go get blind drunk, you churn out there, you're swearing at everyone, you're doing all the opposite of what your values are. And in the moment it was cool because your mates were doing it. And then you reflect the next day. Usually you feel pretty crappy about it because of how you actually feel, not because of the actual alcohol or whatever it is that you did. It's actually because you compromised your values to please someone else.
And to break it really quite simple, if you're in a bit of a rough patch and not in a great place, you're probably not ticking off your values. You're probably not living your values each day. And you'll have some days you might be going through a bit of depression or something, and then some days you just have a wicked day. It's like, well, that day you've probably lived your values. And so by living your values each day and progressing in that direction as well, that's what gives you fulfillment, and that's a way to not be depressed as well.
That's really cool. And you can go to values for hours. Like, it's a very cool topic. But so we would highly recommend, if you haven't worked out your values, we say anchor them on your hand, because your hand goes everywhere with you. If you want to do more, that's cool. But then it's really hard to line up all 10 of them at once. And so 5 you can do, and they're in your core. They're the ones that'll come quite quickly to you. They'll be like, oh yeah, honesty, or this, or whatever it is. They'll come fast to you. That's generally what means a lot to you. And then from there, you create a rule around them. So it's very intricate. But what we'd suggest that you do is take the time to think about what is important to you. And if someone wants to see that picture of you, what would you want them to say about you? That's usually a key indicator.
Remember, it's your values, but not how someone responds to you, because you can't control anyone else. No. You can only control what you do.
Yeah.
And so if honesty is your thing, and you want, one of your rules around honesty is that people will never lie to you, you can't control that, because I can't control whether you lie to me or not. I can only control whether I lie to you.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. So those values are the start. So all our goals that we start for the year are based around our values. Yep. So we create our goals now, the side of New Year's Eve, around our values. So we look at goals. How do we both have healthy, fit, and strong? Both have different versions of it. Yep. I'll create all my goals around my version of what that is. So the strong component for me, my strong is that I can always lift over 100 kilos in every weight that I do, so that I can be in a position, if I ever have to help someone, I can always know that I can, because I can lift above my body weight. I've always had that goal. So that's always one of my first goals.
He's got a bit more meaning behind his, whereas mine for strong is just, I want to lift 100 kilos 5 times on a straight bar for a deadlift. And I didn't achieve the 5 times on a squat this year. So that goes over to next year. So I want to squat 100 kilos for 5 reps. Next year. That's part of my strength goal. So our goals are very different, but we base them all around our values.
Yeah, exactly.
And we break them down.
Cool. So that the values, and the next part of that is, it all comes down to this. You've got to build your personal brand. That's what you are. Your brand, whether you think you have one or not, is definitely what you have. Everyone has it. It's what's on show all the time. So take a little bit of a thought about your social media. It's a great place to start. If you use Facebook, what are you portraying on Facebook? Are you one of those people who gets on there and bashes people like, F you, blah, 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 and you have a go at people? That's who you are. That's what you're portraying you are. Whether you think that's who you are, but if that's how you're putting it out to the universe, that is who you are showing the universe who you are. So people see that and they watch it from afar going, oh, Matt, he's a really angry man when it comes to politics and stuff like that. He's a dickhead. He's a such and such. Now, if that photo was shown and that person was showing my photo, they're like, oh yeah, he's the dickhead. That's how they portray me. If that doesn't line up on my values, all of a sudden I'm compromising something somewhere to please someone by being a hero on the keyboard.
And I just want to put out there, don't have dickhead as one of your values, just so you
know. Which is really, really important. So your personal brand comes down to everything: what you dress, how you present, how you smell, how you talk to people, how you portray to people. And it's not saying you have to be tiptoe around people and stuff like that.
You don't have to pretend, but just be who you want to be and be you consistently. So, you know, so many people put so much effort and time into planning a freaking holiday, and they never put time into planning their life. Or their year, or how they want to be, and who the person they want to be. Because the cool thing is we don't have to be by chance. We can actually create who we want to be.
Yeah, exactly. And you're one of the things you go, well, yeah, but social media, blah, blah, maybe you're not into the Facebook thing, but you got to remember, if you've got kids, you're an influence on them too, which that is your brand. Your brand as a father is portrayed to them as a child, as their father. So is that brand lining up with how you want to father your kids? That's personal branding. Are you the husband that you want to be for your wife, or the partner you want to be for your partner? Is that person lining up with who you want to do, or are you compromising because your mates are doing something, or because you're seeing something, or you're watching
because you're just being lazy,
or you're being lazy? So your personal branding is what you have to look into doing. So when you find your values, those values are great, and you have all your goals attached to those values, then you can step back and go, cool, who do I have to become to ensure that I live those values? That's personal branding. You're going to brand yourself in a way that lives up to that person. Okay, Sheridan, go to yours again.
Healthy, fit, and strong.
Okay, stop right there. Would you just a thumbs up, the people that have seen Sheridan in the flesh, and she won't take offense to this if you don't believe it. Do you think she's looks by your version of what healthy, fit, and strong is? Would you say she's healthy, fit, and strong? Thumbs up if you think so.
You
right?
get burpees if I don't get a thumbs up. No.
So thumbs up, right? You've met her in person. You can see that she lives well. She dresses well. She does all those sorts of things. Next one.
Kind.
Although she pulls the fingers, then you would if you've met her and you thumbs up if you think she's kind, right? Yeah.
Outside of a boot camp. Kind outside of a boot camp.
Exercise isn't the same, but you've met her, you know her heart, you know her soul, her purpose, her intention is very, very clear. So that's great. Next one.
Classy.
Would you say she's classy? In your definition of classy, right? Okay, easy. We've got fingers going up from Thomas, which is all normal from him, which is cool. And she's very classy. She's classy right down from the way that she presents her room. If you could see the new room that she's got in there, she set it up as a shop. So everything's displayed in our bedroom because we don't have kids. We can use bedrooms as wardrobes, which is what we've done. In her room, it's set up and displayed. Everything's immaculate because to her, that's a classy way of living. Now, if she gets annoyed with me because my drawers are often crammed in, is probably the easiest way to put it, after she folds them beautifully for me to put them in. I put them in beautifully, but when I look for something quick and it comes out, it's in a mess. So she comes in and it doesn't line up with her value, which is fine. So it irritates her, which is cool. But then she can question me on one of my values. Does that live up to what that person would do? And it never does. And she catches me on it. So she's very good at it. Next value.
Wealthy. That's a bit of a tough one to do.
Wealthy. In your version, you can have your own interpretation of is Sheridan's wealthy. Again, she has her own rule around it. So it's regardless of what you think, it's what she thinks. But if you think that she is, of course, you can decide. And your last one?
Fun.
Fun. And is she fun? This is very debatable with Sheridan.
Yes! I'm fun.
And she is very fun. So
and funny and
too far.
Too far. Sorry.
And so her branding, all you have to go on is her branding of how she portrays herself lines up with those values. So the beautiful part about that is she's worked on her branding to line up with her values. So all her goals that wrap around her are aimed to increase her personal brand to make her a better person for who she wants to be. So that when she's seen by people, she's congruently that person. She's not putting it on. She's not trying to pretend she's someone she's not. She's genuinely living who she wants to be by being who she is and living those values. That is the power of these goals, which take time, which is why you don't need New Year's Day to jot down a few goals.
I haven't always been like this too.
No way.
Not at all. I've had
Elements.
some refining.
Yeah.
Lots of refining
Absolutely.
because I've chosen to.
Yeah. And it takes some time and it takes some people to help you out, which is the next part of the personal branding is quite often the saying goes, you're the average of the 5 closest friends that you have in your life, which is our next point.
5 people you spend the most time with.
And it's not the people you like the most, it's the people who you're always around. And when you actually look at this, it's quite crazy, but you'll find that you're bang in the middle of all of them that you hang around with. You're the middle.
If you've put on weight, but you hang around with fat people,
well, you're going to become fat. That's unfortunately how it works.
Yeah.
But if you hang around with fit, healthy, happy people, you become fit, healthy, and happy. That's just how it happens. No matter how strong and how stubborn you are, you become that person.
Yeah.
People start saying, oh, you look different. Oh, you lost some weight. Oh, you done this. That's because you hang out with different people all of a sudden. Prior to that, when you're putting weight on, they don't say anything.
Perfect example, Taylor Swift. She went super, super skinny and like model-like because she's hanging out with models. And now she's not hanging out with models.
If you know who Swiftie is, that will make sense. You know who Swiftie is?
Taylor Swift. Everyone knows who Taylor Swift is.
It's a big statement, Sheridan.
But we're not saying that you have to completely like flush out people and stuff like that. We're just saying limit the amount of time you spend with them. Yeah. So you can love them from afar. And 2020 for me has really brought lessons of realizing that I don't have to spend my time everywhere. I can choose how I spend my time, still love on people and stuff like that, but I don't have to go and do things I don't want to do and that don't line up with my values and don't make me a better person.
Yeah.
Really, and I can say no.
Yeah.
But yeah, so really making sure that you can love on them, but you don't have to spend
Yeah.
intense amount of time with them.
Like my friends back home, I love them. I always have time for them. But I know the conversations I'm going to have when I catch up with them. I know that we're going to have quite a few beers. I know that we're going to have a great night. It's going to be reminisce. It's going to be all that stuff. But I know that if I hang out again the next weekend, it'll be the same thing and the same thing and the same thing. So that's not getting me to where I want to get to. So I made a realization that my friends are my friends and I love them for who they are. And they're a big part of my life. And I'll be there for them in a heartbeat. But to get to where I want to get to, I can't spend all my time doing that loop because it doesn't do what I need to do with my life to do what I want to do. And it doesn't line up with who I want to be as a person. So I made decisions not to spend all my time with them. I don't give them no time. I just make not to give all my time. That's my main one there. So the question you ask yourself is those 5 people that you're hanging out with, are they the people, the right people to get you to where you want to get to with your life based on your values and based on your goals? So if the answer is no, fantastic, you've made a realization. Then you need to go, who are the people that can help me get there? And how do I get around them more? How do I stretch myself and be a little uncomfortable in the group of people that I hang out with all the time?
And we look at this as like, who are relationships that we love that they have. And we make sure we call them up and book in a dinner with them so that we can hang out with them that way. Who do we love, how they do business or how they do, how fit and strong and healthy they are. We look at people in different ways and we try and make things happen like that too. So you can increase your time spent with people that you need to get around.
And there's an old saying that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And that's what you want to be, in a room that stretches you, you know. And quite often when you're with your mates, I like to feel I'm more intelligent in the room, which means I'm in the wrong room. Not mean I can't be in the room. It just means that I probably need to spend a little time in here and find a room where I'm not, and I'm going to be stretched and challenged and to be a better person so that I live my life and not someone else's life. That's the whole point of it. That's why we do what we do. So you are the average of your 5 closest friends, which is a really
5 people you spend the most time with.
Sorry, 5 people. And that can be family members. That's often a realization. Like, oh my God, I spend so much time with my mum. And then you look at your mum and go, I don't really want all those characteristics of that person. I love some of them, so I need to probably spend less time with my mum. You don't have to not talk to them, but which is kind. So the next one we're going to get you to do is in the next 2 weeks is a challenge for you, is acquire a new skill before the year is out. Okay. And that can be anything that would aim for you to be better next year as a person. So something might be, say you've always wanted to learn to surf and you started there, I'm going to surf. And you got to the end of this year and you haven't surfed. And you haven't been able to, you haven't done what you need to do, whatever it is. What you can do in these next 2 weeks is learn a skill that will allow you to get to that next step of surfing. And I use surfing because it's a nice, easy analogy. I can commit to a lesson. That's a commitment. That's a new skill that I've learned because they're going to teach me how to paddle better. They're going to teach me how to get off the board. They're going to teach me how to do those things, where to put my eyes, where to focus. So I'm learning a new skill that I may not possess at the start of this year, but I can have before this year finishes. And if that's not one of your goals or one of the things that you want to do, then of course you don't have to. But I'm going to challenge you in the next 2 weeks to acquire a new skill that would have benefited you by the end of this year to show that you're better than you were at the start of the year.
Because just because it's the end of the year doesn't mean you now can chuck in the towel and wait for next year.
Season,
you can start now, which is amazing. It's like the whole saying, you don't have to wait till Monday to start. You can start right now. You can start today.
And maybe when you do your snapshot right now, you realize that your bank accounts aren't that tip top. And so your next paycheck that comes in, maybe you put a percentage of it into a bank account to show that you're ready to put the discipline into making that a change for next year. And again, it's only an action, which is a new skill that you obviously haven't possessed if you're in the position that you're in. So
if you are looking to improve finances, I highly recommend reading The Barefoot Investor. Super easy to follow.
Easy.
And if you're in business, Profit First is incredible.
Yeah. And they're 2 simple books to read and very easy to implement into your own life, be it business or life. So again, if that's something that you're looking to do, quite often it's easy just to find books where people have excelled in those areas and do that sort of thing there. Maybe that's the skill that you pick up, is you haven't read a book this year. Maybe you pick up a book and you do that before the end of the year. A book that isn't maybe Harry Potter, maybe it's something that stretches your brain a little bit more, which is easy. If you do love Harry Potter, of course you can pick up Harry Potter. Maybe you've never read them. I don't know. Number 6, the last one we're going to give you today, is you have to give back to someone before the end of the year.
Yeah.
And some of you have already done it. Some of you have given your time and your money and stuff towards
So
the
many
Monash
of you
children.
guys have donated presents to the Monash Children's Hospital toy drive. So we're super grateful for that.
And give to someone that's in a worse situation than you.
You just never know how much giving can do for you. Honestly, contribution is one of our 6 human needs, not a want, it's a need. And when we fulfill that contribution element of us, there's something magical that happens.
Energy.
It really does. And I know that you guys don't get to see the face on the kids as they get the present, but just knowing that you've done something great like this is really, really powerful.
It really is. And so that's another part of that challenge of acquiring a new skill, is to go out and help someone. And it might be something as simple as there's a homeless person that sits down the road and you walk past them 20,000 times in
Buy
a
them
year.
a banana.
Buy them a banana. And my suggestion is with homeless people too, it's a good one. I learned it when we were in America one time, because there's many homeless people over there. We were there, we're getting a ride with someone. We're in Colorado and we're catching a ride with this family. They swung around, they pulled into, I think it was like McDonald's or something like that, pulled in, got some food, and then came and gave the food to the homeless person, wished them, it wasn't Christmas at the time, but it was like, wish them, God bless them, and all that sort of stuff there. Then we hopped back in the car and we asked, why did they do food and it's not money? And they said, because quite often, if they are homeless, they have bad habits, can tend to lead them to that thing, which can be drugs, alcohol, something like that. So instead of feeding a habit, you feed the person to nourish their body, to give them energy, to maybe make a better decision and feel good about the moment. So quite often if there is that time and you can, give them a gift of food or something like that, because they're probably willing to sacrifice the food side of things. So that can be something that you can do that's so simple. Maybe it's a friend that you know that's been going through a tough time this year. Buy them a coffee, $4, and all of a sudden you can hear them talk for 20 minutes.
Make someone a lasagna and put it on their doorstep. There's so many things that you could do.
Easy. So I'm going to wrap that up really quickly. I'm going to recap it really fast. So the first one is do the pulse check, strip down naked, sit in front of a camera, a mirror, get out the laptop, check how your body looks, rate it 1 to 10, pull out your laptop or your phone or something, look at your bank accounts, look at how much money you have in the bank accounts, look at how much money you owe, subtract the 2, what's left at the end, put a rating of 1 to 10, 1 meaning, oh crap, I'm in a bit of trouble, 10 meaning, yeah, baby, I'm ready, financially free. The next one is your family. Look at that one, take a look at it. Don't analyze who you like or don't like, but look at your involvement in their life. Are you present? Are you what you want to be as their father, their brother, their sister, whatever it is? And if things need to make a change, you can make changes there. And the other one was your job. Are you doing what you love, or are you collecting a paycheck because it's simple, it's easy, and you've just settled for it? And maybe that's a place you can make a change this year to make it better. Next one was your values. Make sure you find your values, create 5 of them, anchor them to your hand, and then make a decision and work out, are you living those values? If not, it's great, because you can always make a change to do that. It's very simple, but you need to know the values first. Then base your goals around those values. And by doing that, you'll build your personal brand. Take a look at those values and the way you dress, look, present, are around people. Are you the contradictory to who you want to be, but you want to be this, but you're this? So you can make changes there. The next one is, remember, you are the average of your 5 closest people you hang out with. So are they the people that are going to take you to where you need to get to? If not, you can make changes. You don't have to cut people out of your life forever. It's just less time you spend with people that aren't going to take you to where you want to get to. And then those last 2, which is the challenge, I challenge you, is to acquire a new skill, something you haven't done, but it's 2 weeks, so it's pressure filled. So you got to allocate some time. Maybe it's something simple, maybe it's something small, a quick change. Allocate that, challenge yourself to do it before the end of the year. Maybe it's goal setting. Maybe you've never done goal setting. Maybe that's the new skill that you're going to learn. And that's fantastic. Maybe it's doing your values. I know typically when I ask people what's your values, they go, huh? That's a sign that they don't live their values, which means they're typically chasing happiness, which they don't even know what that is.
Because you can't live something you don't know about.
And so taking the time to do your values can create happiness and fulfillment, which is what you're secretly looking for. And just by living these values, you get happiness. It's not money. It's not something like that. It's actually these values that you're seeking happiness in. And the last one is give back to someone that is in need, and give back to someone that is worse off than you. And I know that some of you have already done that, but there's another 2 weeks left. Do it again. And
so you're going to be doing this over the next 2 weeks. Take the time over the next 2 weeks to plan your goals for 2021, and not just a 15-minute sit-down session and bang some stuff out. Really think about it and take some time to ponder, discuss with your partner, with your loved ones, so you might get better, different ideas and stuff like that too. Now, one of the biggest things that people go wrong with when they're wanting to do more, be more, etc., and they are setting goals, is the first step is they don't write it down. That's your number one thing, is you have to write these down. Now, the second thing is the more regularly you look at these goals, the more likely you are to achieve them. So if you write them, set and forget, chuck them in the drawer, and then you get to like this time next year, like, oh shit, I did actually write some goals, not sure what they were, can't remember if I've hit them, etc., etc. So we do what we call a pulse check. Every Tuesday, without fail, we sit down and we have lunch together. We usually get takeaway, or we go out somewhere and actually really have a nice meal. So it's Mondays. It's moved to Mondays now because our timetable has shifted. And we literally open up our goals book. We open up them, so we look at them every week without fail, if not more than that, but at least once a week, 52 times a year, we are looking at our goals to know what we want to do. And then we set mini goals and intentions for the week ahead around those as well. So we sit down and we go, cool, where are we at for our relationship this week, and what do we want to make sure we do? And we might put in there a mystery date. We do mystery dates, and they're so much fun. They're great for adding in that variety and that spontaneity and stuff too. And
it gives the other person a chance to say in that moment, actually, I'm a little disconnected from you. Instead of letting it go on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and the other person going, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? Something's always wrong.
Another book to read is The 5 Love Languages. So you can talk about love tanks and filling like that up. And so it's a great opportunity so that you don't let things fester and get bitter. You can literally go in the moment, actually, I'm feeling a little bit like this, or you did this, it pissed me off. This is how I'm responding to it, blah, blah, blah. Anyways,
it's like, so I'm going to cut it really quickly. It's like putting the guardrails up when you're at the bowling alley. When you go down the gutter, there's gutter balls. That's the fights, right? So it's just like pulling the gutter out, the rail out, so that it bounces you back towards the pins. That's what you're doing. You're just pulling the bumper back out before it goes off and down a bloody tongue, and you get angry.
And this is around all of your goals, because if you're constantly reading them, constantly checking in and sitting down with your loved one and being, involved together, you can really hone in and make sure that you have an incredible year. So we've always set goals, or I've always done it. Matt has over the last 8 to 10 years, every year for the year ahead. But it's only been in the last 2 years that we've had incredible years, because we now sit down every week without fail, read through our goals and look at what we want to achieve for the year ahead. Because we can set literally like 50 to 100 goals for the year, but if we don't constantly look at them and start working towards them and achieving, it's like I have a PT session with Tanya once a week, and Tanya wants to know what I'm working towards. So my goal, my focus this year, number one focus, was to lift 100 kilos on the deadlift with a straight bar 5 times. We achieved that a few weeks ago, and it was incredible. So now I get to tell her what I want to achieve for the next year, so she knows how to tailor my PT sessions as well. Of course, we attack it in a holistic approach like we do all personal training sessions, but she can really focus in, because if I want to lift heavy on something and she gives me lower weights and higher reps, it's not really getting me to my goal. So I encourage you as well, when it comes to your fitness and your health and stuff too, make sure you tell your personal trainer what you want as well, because you can't expect us to know if we don't know. We'll always challenge you and ask you and question you and stuff, but that's another one. So reading these goals as often as possible, and even a visual representation of your goals. We actually visually put our goals together, and we laminate it, and they stick in the shower beautifully just with water. So if you come into our bathroom, you'll see that one wall is completely filled with our values. It's filled with pictures of things we want for us, for our life, for our business, for all of that, and other bits and pieces too. So you literally, the first thing we see when we get up every morning at 4 a.m. is goals and values and what we want to see.
Eventually you see them. You start with your eyes closed, and then eventually open, you're like, oh yeah, that's
4
right.
a.m. And it's the last thing we see at night as well. So we have a reminder at least twice a day. Our phone background is also our values and our goals and stuff like that too. So every time I open up my phone, which is very regularly, I get to see those too. So writing down goals is super important, and then checking in with them as regularly as you possibly can. The more times you read them and see them, the more likely likely you are to
And
succeed.
I'll go one better than that. The more times you see the picture is way more effective than reading them. So your brain doesn't remember words, it remembers pictures, it remembers still frames, images, and moving objects. It does not remember the word elephant. It remembers an elephant. In your head, you'll see an elephant before you see ELPHANT.
Or remembers a picture of the word elephant. It's all in pictures.
So it's not words. So text will go in and get lost and jumbled into the brain, but a picture will stay there as soon as you see it. So by seeing a representation of that picture, which has a representation to you, I think I mentioned this before. I have a picture of one of my goals as a black private jet, and it's not the fact that I want the private jet. It's just I want to be the person who can have the private jet. There's a difference. It's like being in a position that you could buy the jet if you wanted the jet, or travel in the jet because you can afford to.
And this is the same thing as your values. It's your rules around whatever's on your vision board. So if you come and look at my vision board, you might not 100%, like I've got pictures of apples on it. It's like, what the fuck is apples doing on your vision board? It's like, no, that's my representation of being healthy and it's part of that. It's a visual reminder for that. It's not that I want to turn into an apple or eat an apple every day.
And so those
I'm actually apple intolerant. That's stupid.
So those little things that you do there are simple and they're easy and they're fun, and you make a thing of it. If you've got family, get your kids to do it. If you've got your partner, get them to do it. Get them uncomfortable. Look at what you did last year. Did you do that last year? If you didn't do it, change. Do something. Try something different this year. Worst case scenario, you go back to old habits and it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect your life. Best case scenario is you start achieving some of the goals that you really wanted to do because you put them down, you showed them, and you got accountable to them because you reflect on them. The weekly pulse checks that we do, this stemmed from when we read The Barefoot Investor. The first thing that it tells you to do is to go on a date, sit down and buy a meal. You're about to sort all your finances out and enjoy the process. And so we're like, wow, that's really cool. So let's implement that task into our life regularly. So we treat it as a date. And on the date, we reflect and we do that sort of stuff there. So it's not a chore. It means we're going out for lunch. It means we're sitting down and hanging out. We're having a midweek date with each other sort of thing. So it's a fun thing we do every year. So you hear 52 check-ins with the wife, and we hear 52 lunches that we get to do with each other, and dates and fun. That's the difference. It's not a chore. It's actually fun. I love Sheridan. I love hanging out with her. I want to do life with her and all this stuff here. So why would I not want to spend that day once a week checking in to make sure that we're okay, instead of letting little niggles just vibrate you off course towards those gutters? Let's bring those bumpers back out so you can come back in and push through.
And that, my friends, this is the stupid one. Sheridan, do you have a tall person on your vision board?
She does.
I'd like to be kind right now, but I'm not. But that is seriously, if you guys implement even a percentage of that stuff, it'll give you a really, really great year for 2021. And aside of what challenges throws at us, like we could never have predicted COVID happening, but it's how you respond to those things that, it is how you then have your year. And if you chuck in the towel and think, this is effed and there's no chance of having a good year, then you're exactly right. But if you seek out opportunities in whatever situation you are, and you live your values regularly, no matter what situation you're thrown in, then you'll have fulfillment, then you'll have happiness. And that, my friends, is the way to make sure that you have an incredible 2021. And I promise you that. And just making sure that we reflect over the year that 2020 has been, and making sure that we can then take the learning from 2020 and make sure that we don't make the same mistakes in 2021. But we just are so grateful for you guys for being here. We're so grateful for your support and your love. And we're really, really excited for you guys to have 2021 as your best year yet. And it 100% can be, no matter what the situation is, because you guys have that power. But as always, we're always here to chat and help out. It is the final week of the 8-week challenge, and face-to-face stuff is breaking for 2 weeks, but online is staying online for the next 2 weeks as well, and beyond. And we're really, really grateful that you guys give up your time and invest in you, and bring on 2021.
Yeah.
Any questions?
That's what I was looking for.
I don't want you to talk.
Thank you, Belinda.
Thank you, Belinda. Thanks,
Very cool.
Tommy. Awesome. If you've got no questions, we are going to go and make some din-dins.
The values, guys, if you have any questions about how to
Yeah.
create your values and great questions to ask for your values, then please just send. We'll flick you through an easy task to do that with, and we'll gladly do that. So that's the big one, though. If you could take anything from this, take the values. I promise you. That's a good one.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so
Thanks, legends.
much.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.